Hi and welcome. Since this weekend is the weekend I'm going to the Swedish Masters, this video is not going to be a battle report, and instead I'm going to talk about the army list that I bring to the tournament, and my thoughts around my choices and so on. And my plan is to make battle reports of all the games during the tournament, but we'll see if I get the opportunity to do it in a good way. First off, the Swedish Masters tournament have had a real hard time getting people to attend, so in the end it turned out to be a really small tournament, and it's a bit of an overstatement to call it a Masters tournament at this point. But for me it's gonna be 5 games against 5 of Sweden's most accomplished players, so fine with that, even though there won't be many other people attending. As I said in a video before, I very recently decided, and that was because I actually wasn't qualified for the tournament to begin with, but since they had a hard time getting players to attend, they opened up for everyone else, and that way I got the opportunity to go. And since there aren't any other tournaments in the near future that I can attend, I thought it best to grab this opportunity and go and play some games. So over to my army list. It's mostly based around what you've seen in the battle reports so far, with 2 blocks and a shooty shaft and a bunch of characters. I wanted an infantry based army with the ability to quickly be up in the enemy's business, so the main unit on my core section is my Corsairs with the Vanguard upgrade. Corsairs are probably the worst core unit in the Dread Elves army, but my hope is that Vanguard's speed can create some synergy with my other fast moving element. The rest of my core is made up of Shadow Riders, which have been a mandatory choice for me for a long time. The special section pretty much looked like a buffed up version of my core, with a block and small shooty and agile units, just as the core. The tower guards with Banner of Murder I mean to use as an anvil with some sting in it to cover the flank of my army while my other units tries to overwhelm chosen parts of the enemy. Then we have 2 units of 7 shades, one with great weapon and one without. The reason that one unit is without great weapon is just that in the end I needed to cut 6 points from the army, and this was probably the least important sacrifice to make. Since I don't have any rare, we go straight to the characters. My general is the Fleet Commander Lord with a giant sword, Duskstone and blood armor. He's mainly there for the leadership and the Vanguard for the Corsairs, but he complements both my low strength blocks pretty well. Next we have my level 4 with the Path of Shadow, Dispel Scroll, Charm of Cursed Iron and Ring of Darkness. Since my army is very lacking in the strength department, I chose Shadow because I felt it was the best complement to my army's biggest weakness. It also can bring some more mobility to my army. The Ring of Darkness is also a very good item to have against most shooting armies, especially together with the Altar of Blood on which my BSB is mounted. The BSB with Lucky Shield, Banner of Cleansing Fire and an Executioner weapon for those sorely needed high strength attacks. I think the Altar is a real good choice just because of the buffs it brings, but I also like the fact that it can wreak wreak a bit of a havoc charging out on its own too. Next comes my biggest weak spot in the army, my master on a Pegasus. He has his uses, but the main reason he's in the army is because I think the model turned out so cool. He is kitted out with the Whip of Subversion and the Dragon Scale helm. Last and also least, we have a level 1 with the Path of Alchemy. She made it into the army because of the signature spell and the channeling boost she brings. And she may also come in handy as a sheep diverter. I've always had a hard time making the competitive choices over the choices that looks cool or seems fun to play, and the times I've taken it too far, it always bites me in the ass, but with moderation the unexpected army can give some edge too. In this case I'm a bit afraid that I have invested too much faith and points into my Corsair theme, but I just had to wait and find out. Choosing the Tower Gods instead of Executioners is also probably not the most powerful choice, but they are far from bad, and I really appreciate the stability they bring with immune to psychology and stubborn. There is nothing more frustrating than to lose your most powerful unit to some random panic test, especially in a tournament. So here it is. My plan is to soon be back with 5 more battle reports from this year's Swedish Masters. So until then,